What's amazing about MixBoard is you can put two images, you can club them and make one. So let's say I want to experiment with costumes. I can have a costume photo uploaded over there and my photo uploaded over there, and I can just put a prompt and look at myself in a particular setting. It was such a costly affair to work with designers, to think about what kind of lighting is going to happen. Today with VO3, Nano Banana, we can visualize all of this. With ChatGPT, we can break down the entire lighting design that we are wanting for our production. That's the power of technology.
Today's guest is doing something I genuinely haven't heard of anyone else doing. And once you hear what it is, you'll completely understand why we had to have her on the podcast. We talk a lot about AI in business, in marketing, in productivity, but what about art? What about dance? Neha Roygupta is a Bharatanatyam dancer and a HR technologist, and she's on a mission to bring AI into the world of Indian classical dance. What we love about her story is that she's not just experimenting privately, she's actively trying to bring an entire community with her. So please welcome Neha.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Hello, it's lovely to have you here.
Thank you, Alice. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, honestly, like when your application came through, and I know I was saying this before the recording, that it's just so interesting, those two worlds that you're bringing together and actually talking about AI when it comes to art. So you're a Bharatanatyam dancer and a HR technologist. So two worlds that don't often appear in the same sentence. How did those two parts of your life come together around AI?
So I have been a dancer since the time I can remember. So I have been dancing from the age of 2.5 years, and my parents saw that interest in me, and then they wanted me to go into formal training. So I took training in Bharatanatyam. It's an Indian classical art form. I have been training for 23 years now. And as an Indian family, we always believe that you should have something parallelly going on. You should be an academician as well. And my father, also being an academician, he mentioned that you need to study. You have to have your career sorted on the other side as well. So I did my engineering, I did my MBA in HR. Then I started working in the corporate. But dance was always a part of my life. I was continuously working on it. And then my father is also an academician, and he used to work with data analytics. And he introduced me to the field. Right. Then he got into AI and he introduced me into the field. And then we all started having a conversation that what can we do that's not a conversation as much. So my younger sister is also a dancer. She's a full-time African dancer. She also does contemporary. My mom is also into music. So we all started to have a conversation that what can we do to bring these two worlds together? And we thought that, okay, there's a lot of things that AI can do for artists in terms of speed in the way or co-creating with technology. And that's how we started to experiment and learn about this particular domain.
Do you know, it's really unusual for your whole family to be really into AI as well. I think that's really interesting. You're coming at it. So it sounds like you've kind of always had these two kind of worlds, that kind of like the artistic, the creative, and then you've had, kind of that more corporate feel and kind of you're used to having sort of those sort of clashing sides. But for the whole family to be really interested in not just AI, but then sort of incorporating it into the creatives, really interesting.
Mm-hmm. So the entire conversation started. So my father, being a technologist, he used to keep talking about technology and what it can do. And me and my sister both. My sister is a full-time artist. So her conversation used to be very different because as an artist, you don't want to give your creative brain to technology. But as we started having those conversations, we started understanding the power of technology. That's when we kind of understood that there's a blend that can happen, and there's so much that we can do with technology. Our entire performance can go, our storytelling can go to another level, and that's how we sort of all the brains came together to kind of make this happen.
I love this. I've written down the word blend. I love that idea and the idea of that storytelling, that elevating storytelling in that way. So is this where the AI for dancers has come from? Is that something that you did by yourself, or was that something that you kind of did with your family?
So when we started off, we started off from the basics of AI. We tried to understand that what is this AI, what is happening in the back end. So we studied a little about machine learning, deep learning. We understood what is generative AI, and after that, we slowly tried to experiment with the tools that are already available. So what I understand is when you're working with AI, you can be in three domains. One is that you are a creator of AI, or you're doing the engineering bit. The second is you are somebody who's contextualizing the AI, and you're using the tools to make another tool using the core AI applications. And the third is you are an end user. So we kind of wanted to play in the second and the third, where we are trying to create using the frameworks that are available. We are not core technologists, or we are not machine learning experts, but we are using the framework. And the last one as well, that how can we make these tools or this technology easily available to the dancers? And that's when we started experimenting with a lot of tools which are already available. And we realized that Google is doing a great work. Google has several tools that they have launched, which is in beta phase right now, but it's all open to experiment. One of them is called Google MixBoard. For the longest time, as dancers, we have to create a lot of mood boards, and our go-to place is Pinterest. But you have to spend hours and hours to find out that right image, that right thought that you're trying to figure out. And Google Mixboard does it in seconds. I mean, you have to just put your thought, it creates 10 different ideas. And from there, you can channelize your thought into what is the kind of ambience you're looking, what kind of mood or colors you're looking, what kind of stage you're wanting to present. And then you can kind of have more ideas. And what's amazing about Mixboard is you can put two images, you can club them and make one. So let's say I want to experiment with costumes. I can have a costume photo uploaded over there, and my photo uploaded over there, and I can just put a prompt and look at myself in a particular setting. So these kind of things were not possible at a time when we used to create productions. It was such a costly affair to work with designers, to think about what kind of lighting is going to happen, what should I be doing, or as newbies probably we didn't know how to work with these lighting. And today with VO3 Nano Banana, we can visualize all of this. With ChatGPT, we can break down the entire lighting design that we are wanting for our production. So that's the power of technology. And I think that's amazing that we are able to do these things right on our fingertips. It's accessible to us today. It's not something which is something in the books. So that's wonderful.
Yeah. I love that. And actually, I like the idea, like you're bringing all those different elements, all those different job roles that go into creating these productions and creating these performances, and finding almost one tool or a couple of tools that could be shared amongst those to be able to kind of share the idea of sharing that mood board in that way, making it really easy for people to create their own. And I don't know if it's the same within art, but definitely when it comes to any sort of digital design, actually sometimes the blank piece of paper is the hardest bit, and actually being able to use these tools to kind of, like you say, like create that mood board, to create that kind of the idea to sort of then be able to bounce those creative ideas off the back of them. So if we dig in a little bit deeper, because obviously when it comes to the creatives and it comes to art, there's been obviously a lot of push when it comes to AI and incorporating it within there, and the idea of sort of AI replacing a lot of these elements. But you've said yourself that AI doesn't mean that creativity is dead. It's about exploring beyond. Can you share an exact moment where AI took your creative work somewhere that you genuinely didn't expect it to take it?
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's interesting, because this is a conversation that we have all the time. And with artists, this is a very, it's a personal moment for artists, they spend so
Mm-hmm.
much time on their art form, perfecting each, and it's, we call this as riyaz. It's practice, discipline, years of devotion, and then you're able to reach the kind of performance that one envisions. And if we say that a lot of these things are going to be easily done by AI, and one of this conversation where we were having with this artist, that let's say we all go to a mall, and there are robot dancers who are assessing the mood of the people around, and they are changing the style, and they are dancing and interacting with people. The footfall is going to increase. So the dancers were like, okay, so what does that mean for us? Are we going to teach robots dance to dance, or is it like, are we going to teach humans? So there's a lot of pushback, and still they are still like, where, what is the line where we have to draw that line of ethics, AI ethics? But for my personal work, where I sort of saw kind of taking things to the next level, was I was doing one production where I sort of wanted to create a music, and I had time crunch, so I couldn't really work with a musician to sort of get that, and I was not even finding music which was readily available for that particular thing that I was sort of looking. So today, with, because we have AI, what I did is I went to ChatGPT, I put down my thought, what kind of lyrics I want that particular section of piece to have. Then I took that lyrics, went into Suno music, and created a music for myself. And then I integrated it with the work, that it was a longer piece, but I, one particular section where I wanted to put my thought across, and I was not getting something like that on the internet really available. And time crunch, I couldn't work with another artist. But because I had this technology at my leverage, I was able to work with it and create that piece. And it was, I mean, it's so wonderful. Like, you're not even able to understand this is a AI generated music. And my students were like, oh, this is AI generated. I said, yes, it is. So there, that was that I think that was a good way of a real life use case that was for me, where I used AI.
That's really cool. We love Suno. We love Suno here. But funnily enough, if the way that we use Suno is we'll use it within our training to kind of show the possible. And usually it's it's this style of music, or country or pop, and being able to pull up the lyrics in such a way that fits the prompt. But really interesting that you're actually incorporating it within the art form itself, within a performance itself, is really cool. What were the dancers like? How did they take it?
So it was quite, they were pleasantly surprised. There was one piece which was not an AI generated music, which later they asked me that, is this also AI generated? I said no. Only that particular piece was AI generated. But yeah, they were pretty accepting about it.
Yeah, that's really cool, because I can imagine as well, especially the style of dancing that you do, it's deeply ingrained, isn't it, culturally? Like, it's a big clash, isn't it, between putting all those years of practice and hard work and sweat and tears versus
yes, the dedication and the years and the training. Yes.
Yeah. And then versus something that has got such a quick output. I can imagine being, an interesting conversation to be had there as well.
What I personally feel in this particular area is that, let's say that I'm a dancer. For me, probably I need to put up a proposal for a grant that I want to apply, and it needs to be really good looking. And but the main idea for me is that I need to get the grant. I need to make it appealing, and I need to put all the points across. But probably for me, it is not that important that I work with a graphic designer to get it created. I can use Canva AI, or I can use probably Claude or Lovable to have it created. Whereas if, let's say, if I go to a graphic designer, they will say, no, you need a graphic designer. So I think those are the creative choices that as people that we have to consciously make. if for me at that point of time that piece is very, very important and critical, then I definitely need to work with a skilled person who has put in the years and the effort to build that kind of work. But if that's something that is low yield for me, maybe I can sort of use technology to make my work faster. That's what I sort of, I think I look at it as of now. Because what I also feel when I'm working
Yeah.
with these tools as well is that this area, performing arts and AI in performing arts, is very new. The models that are trained, they're not that trained, and this is something that we always, when I do my sessions with the dancers, and I tell them that okay, you can use these tools as well, and that's something that I come get most often is that it's not the kind of result that I'm looking for. But it is also because the models are not that trained. It is going to take some time. A lot of work is happening in the corporate areas, and people are training it in the corporate world. A lot of data is available around that. But performing arts, not so much. So probably it's going to take some time to come to that level. And it's something that we need to decide as artists, that what is really important for me. If for me, the music was really critical, then no, I probably, as of now, would not go to AI for it. I would go to an artist to get it done. But if at that point of time is crucial for me, and I need something really creative done, then why not? Technology should be used.
I think that's a really healthy way of looking at it. There's not a stopgap, there's not a no, we're not going to do this, because it's incorporating it in the elements that where it can help, but still understanding that the moments where it's not needed. I think that's part of the bigger conversation, isn't it, of where you bring it in and being able to make that choice. I'd love to ask you a bit more about, because you cover so many things, so many use cases with AI within this field. You've music, costume ideas that you said. I love the idea of being able to combine two images in that way, to be able to kind of build those different designs, light design, mood boards. And we haven't touched on movement analysis either. Which of these have been the most exciting or surprising application for you so far?
So I think movement analysis as of now, I haven't seen a lot of work happening around that. I see basic work happening around that. There's a tool called Natyam AI, which sort of helps you understand whether your movement is correct in comparison to your teacher. So two videos can be uploaded. Your teacher can upload their video, and your video can be uploaded, and then a comparison can be told, and you can be given live feedback. There is another, I think there's a tool called as Dance Next, which I think got launched just in 2026, and it's probably still new and people are experimenting with it. But one area that is really cool, and I think it should be explored a little more, is, so as dancers, we are highly prone to injury. In Bharatanatyam, we perform our entire art form, our dance, mostly in half sitting. So we have to turn our feet out, sit half, and we are doing all our postures. So there's a huge risk if we are not doing the posture right. We can injure our knee, we can injure our ankle. Even in all the other dance styles as well, there are so many agility and mobility movements that happen, and one wrong move and it can cost the career. So if there are more work which happens, maybe a wearable technology or maybe cameras that are assessing your movements and telling you that what can be, maybe, one is to give you the analysis, but also tell you a plan how to get your posture right. That's an area I think that I would love to see some work happening. And there was a small project that we tried to create using Google Colab, where we upload a short video of ours, and we ask Google Colab to kind of create a stick figure around that video, and then we upload it on Claude or ChatGPT and try to understand whether our movement is right or not, basis the physiotherapy technologies. So that there's a move net. There's a particular code on on Google Colab that can be a library that can be called. And we can do a little bit of analysis. But of course, it's a small project. It's sort of like a mini project, college project, we can call it. But I would love to see some more work happening around that and more experimentation around that.
That's really interesting, because even when you were talking about that and talking about, I guess, the limitations of what these tools can do at the moment, the things it could unlock, so like the connection, not only being able to be like an expert in your pocket there, of being able to set maybe tasks to do at home or exercises to do at home to be able to increase like mobility or flexibility, but also like think how much that data could be worth to like wearable technology, or like even support. There's such an outreach of that, isn't it? And like you said, it's especially if it's a field that there isn't a lot of data in, being able to use these tools in this way and sharing that is really interesting. To kind of, you don't really even know what's possible, what it can do yet, but you're exploring. Very cool.
That's right. I think we are at such a nascent stage that, like you just mentioned, that we don't know what the possibilities are. And what I want to see is that more and more people talking about this, coming up with ideas, experimenting, and that's when this is going to go to the next level. So it's just that we've started. I think we've just started the conversation. There's a lot of work which is happening around robotics, sensors, computer vision algorithms, but all of this needs to kind of come together and create something in the field of performing arts. And there is a huge scope. I know it, that there is a huge scope where we're probably not able to envision it today. But as more and more people start having this conversation, experimenting with this technology, we will be able to see something much bigger and much exciting.
Yeah, no, it's fab. And actually, like you say, I heard from a really interesting speaker a couple of weeks ago about AI in textiles and like the loss of the human craft, and like how important capturing that learning and that education and like the passing down of these techniques within textiles. But you can so see it in dance as well, can't
Absolutely.
you? Like the ability to be able to capture this for future generations is also really important, and potentially these tools could help in that way as well.
Absolutely. Notations and so every style has so many nuances, and if you are able to create these languages, there's so much potential. And all of these art forms, so classical art forms are something that you need to really invest a long time. Where today we see that people want to learn something which is easier, faster, but these nuances are something that, once one gets hooked to it, it's something which is really exciting. And if we can use technology to make this learning process even more fun, I think that'll be great.
No, it's brilliant. Something that I'm interested in, because we talk about the hallucinations, right, within AI. Hallucinations being something that maybe people don't really understand or understand the risk of them. And I know you yourself have mentioned the risks of learning something wrong from AI due to those hallucinations, especially in a discipline where technique really matters. How do you go about protecting yourself with that within your field, and also others that you're working with?
Okay, so here comes the small language models. So what I personally tell everybody when we are having this conversation about AI, ethics, is that if we are doing a broad research, it is good to go to Perplexity, or I prefer Perplexity because Perplexity will give you back the sources. So in case you want to go back and cross-verify the data, you can go back and see the articles, who has written that. Because in art form, most of the data is oral tradition. It's people sharing information, and then there's not much of things which are codified or written. So there lies a little bit of, it's not even AI hallucination. It's just that those kind of data is not available. But Perplexity is really good because you can go back and verify those sources. And then what I really like is NotebookLM. There is absolutely no substitute for reading from the books and articles. And NotebookLM makes this work so much better and easier and faster and accessible. You can create your videos, you can create audio podcast. If you're an audio learner, if you're a visual learner, you can create mind maps. And you know that the source is from the books that you have given, so there is much lesser chance of you reading or learning the wrong information. So that's where I feel that you need to kind of balance between the large language models and the small language model, where you sort of use notebook LM to kind of learn from the data that you have available. And there's a lot of archives available as well, so you can download these archives. And what is really interesting is that notebook LM also is able to read through images. So it need not be that it has the OCI technology perfectly embedded, so it need not be a PDF file. It can be an image PDF also, and it will still give you the sources back to you. So that's wonderful.
I think that's really important, actually, because especially if you maybe don't have access to a lot of these resources, or if you do have access, there's an overwhelm, isn't there, of like, what is it from each of these pieces? If they're covering something in depth, being able to put them into Notebook LM and be able to scan through and to ask it questions and to speak to it and to listen to it, I think is a great way, accessibility, but not just being able to access it from a learning perspective, but actually just being able to tap into those kind of niche places that you may not have been able to find without these tools. And I love the idea of the combo of the media, the uses as well. The fact that it can do that with photographs and with video. It just gives it that kind of like that one hub, doesn't it? That one place that you can go to kind of get that information and to learn more about your craft.
Yes, absolutely.
So if we go into some of the lessons that you would like to share, one of them being that your output is as good as your input. For someone in a creative or an artistic field just starting out with AI, what does that actually mean in practice?
Okay, so this is something that I often speak about, is that your AI tool is your co-creator. It's not your replacement, or it's not your somebody that you just go to and you have all the answers. No, you have to really put in what's going on in your mind from the starting A to the last bit of whatever is going on in your head. You need to kind of translate all of that. If you're not very good with writing a prompt, that's okay. There is a framework. We call it as a poetic framework, but basically it says the same thing, that you need to give the persona, you need to write the context, you need to tell what tone you want, what is the kind of output you want from it, and what are the steps that you want it to perform. You need not write it in the perfect way. That is fine, because today Claude has an engine which kind of translates your written language into a code format. But you have to write everything in detail, what is happening in your head, whatever you're thinking. And then you can ask those questions. You can also ask AI to kind of cross-question your thought process. But you are as good, your output is as good as your input. And I stand by that you have to kind of tell your AI tool that whatever you're thinking, how you're approaching your thought process, because it is your co-creator, or it's somebody who is expanding on your thought process. If you give it a general prompt, if you say that I want to create a dance performance, it will give you a generic response. It's not going to make sense to you. You're going to come back and say that, Neha told me to use this tool and it did not give me good result. What's the point of using this tool? So it's not like that. You have to really put across your thought, because this is something that that's often discussed also, that when we used to work with Google, it was keywords that we wrote. We had to give it small, perfect keywords, and it would return back the best result. But here in this technology, it's more to do with how much you're contextualizing, how much you are putting across what you are thinking, what your thought process is. And then you get the perfect output that you're looking for. And it's not once. You have to iterate. You might have to, like you're having a conversation with a mentor. it's not in the first go that you get the best result. You have to iterate, you put in some thoughts, some questions are asked to you, and then you come up with something which is beautiful.
That's fab. Do you use a lot of examples? Do you provide a lot of examples in support of what you're asking for it, so that it you can help kind of guide
Absolutely.
it in that way?
Yes. I think if you give some examples, if you have, so what I personally do is, probably if I'm starting out as a blank slate, I will give a generic prompt and I will try to collate some information in multiple documents. And then I will also do a little bit of homework at my end and kind of change the documents according to what I personally feel and how I want it to kind of look like. Then I will upload these documents again on the tool and say that these are the thoughts that are appealing to me. Can you go deeper, or whatever is my whatever I'm trying to create with it. So yes, I think that really micro prompting, probably not exactly micro prompting, but yeah, sort of like that you are doing it in layers.
Yeah, love that. You come across really passionate about both, right? About the dance form, the art form, but also the idea of incorporating technology within that. And I think it's brilliant. And you can see kind of the opportunities there. But I mean, I guess from an outsider and somebody who is a non-dancer, I will fully put my hands up here that it doesn't generally come across as a very tech savvy industry. But again, that's just from the outset. What do you think is the biggest mind shift that, or what have you seen has been the biggest mind shift that you've had to help people when introducing AI to that community?
That's a very good question, because we need to start from the basic. What is AI? The conversation starts from there. That what exactly is AI? What can it do? But I think you are absolutely right when you say that this industry is not very tech savvy. But we do see a little bit of shift. For example, I will give a very, very small example. Earlier, all our choreography notes used to be written down on paper. It's so difficult to go back to those notes. But today, when we are working with 3 to 5 dancers, we need all of this to be accessible. And I see there's a shift happening, that people are making their notes on Excel or Google Sheets. And then the choreography chunks are recorded and they are also labeled and then shared it among the group, so you can kind of go back to it. And if you've forgotten something, you can go back to that particular video and practice on your own. This is nothing but the basics of AI. It's labeling the data. So I see that the shift is happening in the mindset slowly. And then when I talk to them and I tell them that, okay, this is something that, you're already doing this digitization, and slowly, this is what, when the system starts to think on its own, is able to make decisions on behalf of you like a human being, this is AI. This is nothing but AI. Then they say, oh, okay, that's what it exactly is doing. And then we kind of go into the conversation of what is generative AI, then telling them about what are the tools, how they can use it. So that's the shift. That's a slow shift which is happening in the mindset, because I think still there's a large chunk of people who feel, oh, technology, no, not my cup of tea. But today's technology is not, it's so user friendly. The design is WhatsApp, ChatGPT, everybody can use it because it's so accessible. Even somebody who's 60 years old can access this technology easily. Things have changed. So I think that's slowly changing. The mindset is slowly changing, that yes, looking at technology as a co-creator, looking at technology as your helping hand. And then probably one day will come when you sort of, some elements can probably be managed by technology.
I love that. Yeah, you're not running before you walk with that either. Like, I love the idea of digitalizing, the ease of it. People are so used to digitalizing everything now. Anyway, you're walking around with that with that ability in your pocket the entire time. So it makes sense that kind of mind shift's moving with that as well. So, right, this being, I say, just the beginning, where do you hope that AI for dancers is going to go from here? And what would your dream application of AI in the dance world look like?
I think currently what I am envisioning or I'm trying to work with is how can AI be used in live performances for better storytelling, for better engagement with the audience, for an art immersive experience. How can technology and artificial intelligence help in taking this to the next level? That's my current passion and area of research. I've not been able to crack it entirely as of now, but I am looking at things right now where I see that a lot of projection art is coming up. I have not seen a lot of artists in India as of now. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. Maybe there is. It's just that I don't have the access as yet. But I do see a lot of artists in the Middle East who are working with this projection technology, where they can create any area into a space of videos, and it'll be so great to see dance and storytelling emerged, blended together. And because if I talk about Bharatanatyam, it comes from the south of India. It's from a state called Tamil Nadu, and the language over there is a South Indian language, which the rest of the India probably may not understand. But when you have technology, if we can have some wearable technology which can translate on the go, the songs that you are listening to, you can listen in the language of your choice. So you're able to understand that. That's another use case that I would be, love to experiment with and see that happening. But I know that, that their audio and singing comes into play. So I'm sure it's possible, but maybe not as of now. So my area would be to see or understand how technology and artificial intelligence can help with live performances and taking it to the next level, creating an experience for audience that they don't forget. Or even reverse engineering the entire performance. For instance, that if we use data analytics, that what exactly do people like watching, and if we can find out some 30, 40 parameters, and then reverse engineer the performance to make something which is really, really mesmerizing, people can't forget. That'll also be something which is cool. I think technology can do a lot of things which right now is just of our imagination. I think in my head, probably somebody's already working working on it, and I really want to meet more people, have these conversations with more people who are experimenting in this area.
I think, well, on that note, obviously, this goes out on our AI for Non-Techies YouTube and other places that you can get a podcast from. I mean, she's so very, very formal. But how can people see what you're doing? How can they see what you're getting up to with AI for dancers?
So I have my Instagram page where the space is called as Dancers AI. So this is an initiative of Dance Tech Innovative Solutions. So I have started a company called Dance Tech Innovative Solution. Under that, this is the initiative called Dancers AI, where we are trying to experiment with this particular arena. And as an Instagram page, we have our website as well, thedancersai.com. The page is also called The Dancers AI. So we can be found over there.
Yes, that would. I definitely know that people will listen to this and straight away just will want to see it in action. I think, like I said right at the beginning, this isn't generally an industry that you hear about when it comes to AI. So I know that there are going to be lots of people wanting to kind of explore what you're doing out there, and you've got such a good understanding of the different aspects, even talking about reverse engineering these performances. Like you can tell that you've got the dancer's heart in the middle of it, or at the heart of it, I should say, the dancer at the heart of it, but also the person watching, the person, the audience. And there's a lot of power there of you using the tools in that way. I think it's really interesting.
Right. There's another area that comes to my mind is the light designing. So a lot. This is another thing which probably technology can help the dancers visualize. Maybe the lights change according to the mood of the dancer, or as well as the audience watching. So we call this as rasa. As the rasa changes, the light, rasa is nothing but emotions. So as your emotion changes, the light design, the lighting can change, and this can be something that a camera takes as an input and changes on the go. That's also something which is interesting and can be done with AI.
That's so cool. I just want to see it. I just want to now go onto your Instagram and have a look at what you're doing. Like, I think, very much goes back to you talking about the possibility of being able to kind of use these tools in this way and really not even knowing where it can lead to. It's really interesting. I think that is us for today. I think that's the end of, unfortunately, the end of our chat. But I'd love, like I said, I would definitely encourage other people to go on, have a look at your Instagram, see what you're doing within this field. You'll have to come back and you'll have to tell us like the next step, because I feel like you're using these tools and finding all these use cases. And I'm just like, right, tell me everything. Tell me, as you use it more within the performance side of things. So yeah, thank you so much for your time today.
I'm so glad.
Yeah, it was a joy. It was really, really good.